house. So welcome back to Favorite Friday. For this case, we are going back to the state of New York, not New York City, but the state of New York. We're going to a town called Little Falls. The city population as of right now is kind of like less than 5,000, so it's kind of a small town we're going into. And this case is a little bit on the older side. I'm not going to ask if anybody knows anybody involved in this case because it happened so long ago. And so basically, let me know what you think down below. Sources down below as always. This one is a little bit of a crazy one. So I'm just going to give what is publicly known down below. And I'm quitting my rambling and let's get started. So Roxalana, she basically was born in 1847. In 1864, when she's about 17 years old, because remember, like I said, times are different, so you get married a lot younger back then. I guess you could now. She gets married to a farmer by the name of William Druse. So she's now Roxalana Druse. So Mrs. Druse. They moved to Warren, where apparently William had his farm, because like I said, he was a farmer. They then proceeded to have two kids. Mary, of course, was born February 21st, 1866. So not even a full 2 years after they'd been married, so not having kids pretty quickly. And then they had George, who was born December 8th, 1875. And so also living with the married couple and the two kids was William's nephew, Frank Gates. Didn't specify why Frank was living with them, just say he was living with them. And so then apparently William, George, and Frank all stayed in the bedrooms where Roxalana and Mary stayed in the parlor. Like that's where they slept. So basically, here's the story as we know it. But of course, as you imagine, there's going to be some holes and conflicting information. But basically, on December 18th, 1884, Roxalana was making breakfast, and William, the husband, he was out checking on the farm, basically like making sure everything was up to an order, because obviously a farm is not easy to keep up with. You gotta make sure keep it maintained. And apparently, the two of them got into an argument because he didn't want to go get groceries. So then Roxalana, she then tells George and Frank go check on the farm, I guess, to go see what needs to be done. And then William would apparently disappear after this. So then later that day, neighbors would apparently see smoke coming from, I guess, like the chimney of the house along the smell, which we already know what that smell is. But of course, they didn't know that. And Roxalana, of course, being the wife, when asked where William went, he said went to New York City. Didn't say whether he ran with a woman, he just ran away in general, whether he's just there temporarily. She just said New York City, if anybody. And so apparently one of his brothers had come over, and his brother had apparently saw like freshly coated paint on the ground, and then that made the rumors even worse. So there was already rumors because like this random smell and smoke coming out of the chimney, which apparently that was like rare at their house. And now there's like this freshly coated paint on their floor, and this missing man. Things are not looking good for Roxalana. So Frank apparently will be arrested only because apparently he was the only person in the house that apparently was not related to Roxalana that was still living there. So I guess they figured, okay, well, if they're all family, y'all obviously gonna cover each other's ass. So Frank not being related, he technically does not have to show favoritism. Of course, I guess they were right, and then he pretty much confesses what happened that day. He claims that after William went outside after the little argument, she went off somewhere in the little house, came back with a gun on her apron, told them to go outside and wait until you come back in. They go outside, they hear two gunshots, they come back in, and they see a rope around William's neck. Roxalana apparently tells Frank to shoot William, and he does out of fear, because, this woman had shot him, so I guess she's going to kill me if I don't. And then apparently she then grabs the axe, and then she starts pretty much hacking William's body. So then the boys apparently helped move the body into the parlor and made George go get an axe to help axe her own father. And then after that, they then proceed to put the pieces that were left of William into the fire to dispose of him. And of course, that's what caused the chimney with the smoke, and that's what caused the smell. So then apparently after burning what was left of his body, they then take the ashes and proceed to dump that into a swamp the next day, and then they proceed to dump the gun and the axe into a pond. Of course, both were searched, and apparently the gun and the axe were found, and then Roxalana is arrested. However, apparently in George's version, he claims that Frank's father, Charles, was actually there, and that he's the one who gave Roxalana the gun, and that he should also be charged because you technically gave somebody the murder weapon. So you're technically like, at least an accessory. And the district attorney, they of course did not believe this. So then Roxalana is charged with murder, but Mary, William, and Frank, they're all charged with accessory to a felony, because obviously murder is a felony. The defense tries to say that she was going through psychological stress because she was being physically abused for years by William, because like I said, this is the 1800s, so William was not being treated as right as they are now. And then apparently it said that a neighbor had apparently seen William hit Roxalana with a horsewhip, and apparently paid him $5. $5 being worth a lot back then than it is now, to basically keep his mouth shut, because obviously, you can't be doing that to a human. And apparently William had also threatened to run her through with a pitchfork. So then on October 3rd, apparently Roxalana was sentenced to death and was sentenced to be executed 3 days later, so October 6th. She apparently was able to appeal within those 3 days and was able to have it pushed back. There was a women's rights group that would say that because the jury was all male, because like I said, 1800s, so women weren't even on the jury yet, because they weren't even considering that, they were saying that this is not a jury of your peers. So then on February 28th, 1887, Roxalana basically claims that Frank's father, Charles, was there, that he was hiding. Mary did not punish Mary at all because she was innocent, because in none of the stories that they claim, Mary was nowhere in there, so we don't even know if Mary was actually even involved. We do know at least Roxalana was definitely involved, otherwise I would not be covering this case. So that same day, she gets executed, and apparently she's the last woman in New York State to be executed by hanging before they changed it over to the electric chair, which is what it is now. So Mary, apparently, even though in none of the versions that they gave, anybody mentioned that her involvement at all, it said that she got 10 years, she was sentenced to life, but actually was pardoned 10 years later. George and Frank, they didn't serve any time due to how old they were. And apparently George was actually said to have gone under the name Stewart, because Druse is not exactly a common last name, so I guess he wanted no trace of being known as to what happened to him. But of course, as you can imagine, this being the late 1800s, everybody involved in the story has since passed. So Mary apparently died August 30th, 1915. So George apparently died January 3rd, 1944, and Frank allegedly, confirmed this part, Frank is believed to have died on Christmas Day, 1950. So yeah, that's the case of Roxalana Druse, at least what is publicly known, what I could find. Of course, sources down, like I said, credits to everybody down below, specifically Briefcase, who I learned the case from. And so with that being said, if you've heard the case from Briefcase or from anywhere else, definitely let me know. If you think I should cover more 1800s cases, definitely let me know, because I imagine there are a lot more out there. They're going to be hard to find, because, due to lack of coverage, but I'll do what I can. And so with that being said, I cover faith females 3 times a week. Subscribe for more faith females, and I'll see you guys next one. Bye.